Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost Saturday. We still got about 40 minutes to go. But I'm glad you're here with me as we break down the New York Knicks versus the Dallas Mavericks. And it's an early game tomorrow, folks. The game starts at 12:30 p.m. That's the reason why I'm on tonight, right now, because I'm not going to be able to do a game preview before the game starts tomorrow. And I think that's probably going to be the first issue we think about when we talk about tomorrow's game versus the Dallas Mavericks. It's an early game, 12:30, ladies and gentlemen. Will the Knicks be mentally prepared to play one of these early morning games? Hopefully so. The Knicks already struggle to play and win games at home. The Knicks are 4-6 at home, ladies and gentlemen. 4-6. 4-6 at home, 6-6 on the road. You know, we talked about it not too long ago, a couple of shows ago. Why do the Knicks struggle at home? Right? Is it the pressure of the crowd? Is it because other teams come in and they want to play to the best of their ability at the Garden? They want to show up at the Garden. They want to have their Garden game. You know, everybody talks about, oh, it's such a special place and love playing at the Garden, but nobody wants to really suit up in a Knick uniform. They just want to have all the fruit, none of the labor. They know how heavy that Knick jersey is. They don't want to deal with that. They just want to come and perform at the Garden once a year, twice a year, whatever. But anyway, it's an early game, ladies and gentlemen, 12:30 p.m. We'll see if the Knicks can finally rally up a win at home after, losing a couple of tight ones at home. Not a couple, a few tight ones at home. The Portland Trail Blazers, the Memphis Grizzlies, and then the Milwaukee Bucks. This is the first night of a back-to-back, ladies and gentlemen. The first night of a back-to-back. Let's see what the Knicks can do versus the Dallas Mavericks. And yes, folks, that same team that Jalen Brunson used to play for, and I know you see me wave in front of my face because there's a spider web floating around and I can't get it out of my face. It's bothering me. You probably can't see it, but I can. But yes, the Dallas Mavericks, they're not playing as well as, you would have thought they would be playing. The Dallas Mavericks have been a good team in the Western Conference over the past few years. So far this season, they're 10-11 on the season. A lot of people saying that they miss Jalen Brunson because he's kind of a glue guy type of player. Not just on the floor, but his attitude, his character, his leadership, all that kind of stuff. The Knicks got him. Hopefully he can glue this franchise together. Looking at the injury report, ladies and gentlemen, as of tonight, the Knicks have their rotation players healthy. So that's a good thing for them. The Dallas Mavericks, ladies and gentlemen, or the Dallas former Knicks, whichever one you want to call them. Kemba Walker, he's a game-time decision for the Dallas Mavericks. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Kemba Walker is a Maverick. So who knows if he makes his, Garden debut as a Dallas Maverick tomorrow afternoon. I was about to say tomorrow night. That's why I kind of slowed down a little bit. Tomorrow afternoon. That'd be kind of crazy, but we'll see. If that's what happens, basically the Knicks swapped point guards with the Dallas Mavericks. Or the Mavericks swapped point guards with us, whatever you want to say. That's what happened. Point guard swapped. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be a starter or how he fits in there or anything like that. I don't even think he's suited up in the game yet. But Kemba Walker, a Dallas Maverick. Anyway, he's a game-time decision. Tyler Dorsey is a game-time decision for the Dallas Mavericks. Other than that, for the most part, they're healthy. For the most part, they are a healthy basketball team, ladies and gentlemen. Projected starting lineups, given the injury reports: Jalen Brunson for the Knicks, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. And for the Dallas Mavericks, Spencer Dinwiddie, Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., Finney Smith, and Dwight Powell. I mean, the Dallas Mavericks are full of former Knicks. It's crazy. Tim Hardaway Jr., we just mentioned him. Kemba Walker, Reggie Bullock, Frank Ntilikina. And I don't even think Frank Ntilikina, ladies and gentlemen, is on the rotation list. No diss towards Frankie. I like Frank. But I don't think he's on the list. Let's get in the game. Maybe they'll play him just because this is one of his former team, not one of his former teams, his former team. Maybe they'll play him. But I doubt it. You know, this is going to be kind of this. I'm sure this is going to be a bittersweet game for Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? He got his career started with the Dallas Mavericks, so he's friends and has relationships with all of these guys on the team. But I'm sure he wants to win as a New York Knick. You know what I mean? And improve their record from 10-12 to 11-12 and do what they can to get into the play-in and then possibly the playoffs. But I'm sure he wants to win this basketball game over the Dallas Mavericks. So it's probably kind of bittersweet for Jalen Brunson and Rick Brunson and those guys there. You know, you got to beat up on some of your old pals. But he's going to get it done. Now, what you see on the screen here, folks, you know, these are definitely not the matchups that you're going to see tomorrow. Obviously, you'll see different guys, you know, switches, this, that, and the third. But these aren't the matchups that you'll see. And to be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure how these matchups are going to go. I'm not exactly sure how the matchup is going to go. All right. But I'm going to give it a shot on how I think it could go. So you have, it's a tough one, right? Jalen Brunson, I'm thinking let's start with Luka. Because I know a lot of people is going to say Grimes on Luka, but I feel like there's a really big size difference there. So I don't know. I'm sure Grimes will guard Luka in situations, and maybe Tom Thibodeau will go with Grimes on Luka. But I do feel like there's a big size differential, and Luka he's a guy that can post up. You know what I mean? He can play from every spot on the floor. So I do feel that Luka will post up Grimes, and there will not be much that Grimes can do about it. R.J. Barrett is bigger. He may not be playing the best defense. That's what listen, we know that. But in this situation, I feel like he's going to match up better with Luka because of the size. You know, now, do you chance RJ getting in foul trouble? You know, what else? I guess. I guess you do. You know, RJ's got to, you know, he's got to hold his own without fouling, in my opinion. You know, he's got to stay in front. He's got to switch his feet. He's got to contest. Just got to make it tough on him as best you can. But I think it'll be R.J. Barrett guarding Luka. Quentin Grimes on either Hardaway or Dinwiddie. You know, right now I put him on Hardaway because of the style of play. Right, Dinwiddie I think he's more of a, you know, he's not a guy that's running off screens and is going to shoot over you in that fashion. He's more of an on-ball type of guard that can penetrate to the basket. He can shoot some shots in the mid-range, this and that, right? Obviously, he can do some facilitation as well. But I feel like Tim Hardaway, the way that he, the way and where he shoots the ball, if you have a Jalen Brunson on him, he may see right over top of him and be ready to drop. I seen someone in the chat say he's going to drop 40 on us. I feel like if you have Jalen Brunson on him, he's going to have a nice, clean look at the basket. And maybe he will drop 40 on the Knicks. So I'd rather have a Quentin Grimes on Hardaway, who can chase him around screens, and he's got the size so that Hardaway cannot just shoot over top of him. I think that's where I'd go with it. Right? Then you have Julius Randle on Dorian Finney-Smith and Mitchell Robinson with Dwight Powell. Jalen Brunson on Spencer Dinwiddie. So we will see how this operates for the Knicks defensively. Obviously there's going to be switches across the board. Look, listen, Dinwiddie's like 6'5", Luka, 6'7", 6'8", or whatever. Hardaway is 6'5", 6'6". Dorian Finney-Smith, I think, is 6'7". So the Knicks are going, with Brunson out there on the floor, the Knicks are going to be a little bit undersized, but I'm pretty sure if whoever he's guarding, if they try to post up, they're going to send a double team. The Knicks will send a double team. Then you got to deal with the kickouts, of course. The Knicks are going to have to close out on these shooters. You do not want the Dallas Mavericks getting hot from the three-point line. Right? They shoot almost 35% from the three-point line. They take almost 40 per game. Right? So you don't want them getting hot. And I'm pretty sure they're looking at tape and saying, hey, you know what? These guys are going to let us shoot. We're going to shoot. They're preparing themselves to knock it down. As far as who guards who on the Knicks, and, I may develop a graphic that shows who the Knicks player will guard and then who the Mavericks player will guard. I think they'll probably have their best defender on Jalen Brunson. Cut snake off at the head type of thing. I think a lot of teams feel like if they take away Jalen Brunson, then the Knicks have to go through Julius Randle, and the Knicks don't want to go through Julius Randle. So I think they probably put their best defender on Jalen Brunson. I would say Hardaway is probably going to guard Grimes. Luka will probably guard R.J. Barrett. Finney-Smith on Julius Randle. I guess it would be Dinwiddie on Brunson, or maybe it's Finney-Smith on Brunson. But if you do Finney-Smith on Brunson, then who's going to guard Randle? So I think the matchups are actually going to go both ways now that I think about it and kind of talking my way through it. Matchups probably go both ways. The way that you're looking at it. So we'll see how that looks. Now that we talked about the starting lineups and the possible defensive lineups, let's talk about the benches. Because the bench units, ladies and gentlemen, are two high-scoring bench units. And I see Uncle Fulio said that he likes putting R.J. Barrett on Luka. He said Luka's going to get his no matter what. There's no doubt about it. Luka's going to get his no matter who you put on him. Luka's going to do his thing and get his. You can hope that you can make it tough. But for the most part, he's probably going to get his. Looking at the bench units, though, Emmanuel Quickly, Derrick Rose, Cam Reddish, Obi Toppin, Ihart, or Sims, Maxi Kleber, Christian Wood. You got Green, Bullock, and Davis Bertans Last game against the Detroit Pistons, Bertans, I think, only got like 2 minutes or so. I wouldn't put it past him playing some more minutes against the Knicks, just to see if maybe you can continue to have a lineup that's going to pull Mitchell Robinson away from the basket, taking that shot blocker out of the paint. Christian Wood can also do that. But ladies and gentlemen, the Dallas Mavericks bench is averaging 40.2 points per game, and the Knicks is averaging 37 points per game. There's your battle right there. And this could very well come down to which bench unit can produce the most. Do I automatically give the Knicks a win here? Obviously not, because, this bench unit's scoring a lot of points. 18.9 rebounds for the Knicks. That's one of the best in the league. 16.5 rebounds for the Mavs. That's up there as well. The Knicks bench unit is averaging like 8.5 assists per game. 5.5 for the Dallas Mavericks. But let's jump all the way down to shooting. This bench unit shoots 47.1% from the field and 35.2% from the three-point line. And therein lies a scary department. You know what I mean? A scary department. That three-point shooting from the bench. Overall, they shoot about 35% from the field. 35% isn't crazy high, but it's better than the Knicks, and they obviously will shoot the ball. They take a lot of shots. Kleber, Wood, Bertans, Bullock, these guys will shoot the three. All of them. All of them can knock it down consistently. Now, when you look at the Knicks lineup, all of those guys can shoot the three as well, but they're all not hitting it at a good clip. But they can't all hit it. Ihart isn't shooting it well, but he can hit it. Obi, it's been the last couple of games is actually, he went through a little bit of a dip. Came back the last couple of games. Reddish can shoot it, rolls quickly, obviously. So this bench unit battle is going to be a fun one to watch as well. There's going to be starters out there sometimes with the bench units. Will we ever see the bench versus just the bench? I don't know, because like I said, Bertans versus the Pistons. And by the way, the Mavs lost to the Pistons a couple nights ago. But Bertans didn't play much during the Pistons. So if Bertans is not playing, then they probably have a starter out there running with, the other four guys, Bullock, Green, Wood, and Kleber. And just to mind you, obviously I have the Knicks from guard to center. The Mavericks is, just kind of there. And for the most part, I'm not looking at who's guarding who or what positions, because when you start to get to the bench, things start to mix up a little bit. So I'm really interested in this bench unit matchup, and which, we need the Knicks bench unit to at least play as well as the Mavericks, which I think they can. But the Knicks bench unit is sometimes up and down, right? Quickly, he's been playing well lately, but he can have a game that's off. Derrick Rose has been, maybe kind of shaky. Cam Reddish, he's been okay, but all of these guys can be up and down. And I'm pretty sure with the Dallas Mavericks, it's the same way. These guys can be up and down. That's the reason why they're part of the bench, because they're not as consistent as, normal starting units. Sometimes people have starters that's on the bench. I don't know if either one of these teams right now have straight up starters on the bench. Pudge Nice says, we got a shot. Oh, we definitely have a shot to win this basketball game. Definitely have a shot. Kerry Cox says, THJ looked good the last couple of games. Yeah, he had 26 points, I believe, against the Detroit Pistons. He is looking good over the past few games. And we don't want him to come to the Garden where he may be kind of comfortable and get loose. My man Uncle Fulio said, Sim, are these defensive matchups what you want to happen, or are there expectations that you think Tibbs will employ? Also, RJ is better on the ball defensively than he is off the ball, the lesser of two evils. These are the matchups that I think that this is the way that I would do it, Josh, as far as those defensive matchups. Right? That's the way that I would do it. If I were coaching, that's who I'd put on who. And I do agree with you. RJ is better on the ball instead of off the ball. And Luka, while crafty, he's not going to blow past RJ. So hopefully that helps RJ just a little bit. Obviously, Luka is Luka, and he's going to get a shot off no matter what, because he just has that much craftiness and skill. But I think, RJ can do a decent job on Luka. But the bench units, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to be a fun battle to watch. Need the Knicks to at least stay competitive. The Knicks bench to stay competitive with the Dallas Mavericks bench. As far as your team comparison, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks right now outscore the Dallas Mavericks 115.2 points to 110. They out-rebound the Mavericks 46.5 to 37.8. The Knicks, they continue to trend, win this rebounding battle. Do not let the Mavs come into the Garden and win the rebounding battle. I don't want them to come into the Garden and win, but I think in order for the Knicks to win, they need to win the battle of the boards. The Knicks have not, they have a team that should be able to rebound very well, but they've been leading up to last night's game, or maybe not last night's game, leading up to the game versus the Milwaukee Bucks, or maybe the game before that, the Knicks had dropped to like 11th in the league in rebounding at 43.9. For the previous 5 games, it was like 43.9. 5 games before they played, maybe it was Memphis, maybe it was Memphis. The previous 5 games, they had dropped to 43.9. And I think their lack of rebounding resulted in some losses, against Memphis, especially against Memphis. Against Memphis, Steven Adams, big Steven Adams was dominating the glass. Other guys were dominating the glass. So the Knicks got to hit the boards. Against the Milwaukee Bucks, they hit the boards. Mitchell Robinson, 20 rebounds. We need Mitchell Robinson to be a monster on the boards once again. Stay out of foul trouble and be a monster on the boards. Block some shots. That was a great game for Mitchell Robinson. 19 points and 20 rebounds. I don't expect him to have 19 points and 20 rebounds, but I do want Mitchell Robinson to hit the glass. We need those offensive rebounds, especially when you shoot 31.8% from the three-point line. You need someone who can grab some rebounds, and turn a missed 3 into 2 points. Mitchell Robinson, when he's successful doing that, when he grabs those kind of boards, if you pay attention to just to the games, when Mitchell Robinson plays that way and dominates the glass like that, the Knicks are normally in position to win. They win a lot of those games. Now, when they played the Bucks, obviously they were playing a championship level team. So there's more involved than just grabbing those boards. But when Mitchell Robinson can eat up the glass, especially because the Knicks don't shoot well and neither team really shot well in the previous game, helps the Knicks win. So we've got to dominate that glass. The Knicks are at 24 assists per game, 21.4 for the Dallas Mavericks. This is nothing new for the Mavericks, though. I mean, I guess it's nothing new for the Knicks, but the Mavericks have won without being a high assist team because you have Luka. Luka's a one-on-one player. He gets assists. He can get assists, obviously, right? But he's a one-on-one guy, and that's how their team is built. The Knicks, part of the reason that the Knicks aren't getting a high number of assists the way they did at the beginning of the season is because they don't shoot the ball well. I mean, 45.6% is not really that good. When the Knicks were averaging 27, 28 assists per game earlier in the season, they were shooting the ball at 47% from the field and 35, 36% from three. And it's dropped dramatically since then. I mean, you look at the Mavs, and they shoot the ball at 47% and from the field and 35% from three, and they still only average 21 assists per game. To be successful in this game, the Mavericks can shoot the ball. Who knows if they're going to burn it up, but I think the Knicks have got to be more efficient to win this game. Be more efficient. Come out and play the same type of defense they played against Milwaukee. If they can play with that kind of energy, that kind of aggressiveness, and that kind of intensity and focus, they can win this basketball game. They've just got to do it when they step out there on the floor. 7 steals for the Knicks, 8 for the Mavericks. Both teams like 4.7, 4.6 blocks. Both teams around 13 turnovers. Again, the Knicks shoots 45.6% from the field, while the Mavericks are shooting 47%. The Mavericks are a better three-point shooting team. The Knicks are a better free throw shooting team. Although the Knicks didn't shoot well against the Bucks. I think they shot like 65% from the free throw line. Playing a team like the Bucks, you need every advantage you can get, ladies and gentlemen. Every single advantage you can get, you got to take it. You got to take it. Got to take it. But I definitely think this is a winnable game for the Knicks, and hopefully it can lead to them finishing out this homestand. They play the Mavericks tonight. They play Cleveland tomorrow, and then they play the Atlanta Hawks on Tuesday or something like that. See if the Knicks can finish out this homestand, win these next 3 games, and then, do what they can do on the road. They got to find a way to get these wins. Should be a fun game. First night of a back-to-back, ladies and gentlemen. First night of a back-to-back. I want to hear from Tom Thibodeau. And then once we hear from Tom Thibodeau, and it's a nice, it's a nice little length-size interview. Want to listen to it and then have a little discussion about it. After we listen to Tom Thibodeau, I want to get some phone calls in. Call me up, ladies and gentlemen. 516-362-5212. I know it's late on a Friday night, but I still want to hear from you. 516-362-5212. Let's take a listen to Tom Thibodeau, all right, and see what he has to say after today's practice.
Questions? Everyone except Arch. Yep. No, sprained ankle. Yeah, I mean, they're a terrific team. Doncic is playing at an MVP level. They got a lot of weapons, athletic bigs. Hardaway starting to shoot the ball real well. 11 threes the last 2 games. Of course, Reggie, we know him well. Terrific. Finney Smith, Dinwiddie. It's a team that has good quality depth. They can shoot the ball. They play off Doncic extremely well. Very good defensively. So we know how dangerous they are.
In your past experience, what's it like usually when you coach a guy who has gone up against his former team for the first time?
Yeah, it's, like, I think, obviously, he's had a lot of, good experiences there. That's where he started his career. But that's sort of the nature of our league. It's not uncommon to change teams, so I think players adapt very well. There was a period of time long ago where a guy would be with the same team for a long time, but these guys are used to it, I think, by now. When you look at it starts with the AAU, and then, college, you see a lot more transfers in college, and now they go to the pros, and, they're familiar with each other from just the way they go through things. So there's a lot of friendships involved, and agents and that sort of thing. So, but, those guys were a big part of his life. So, and I think the best part about Jalen is, he's straightforward, focused, locked into exactly what we have to do.
Has he surpassed your expectations so far?
Yes and no. Like, I always thought, when I watched him in high school and I watched him in college and then watched him in the pros, it's been a steady climb, and that's who he is. And there's nothing that he does that surprises me. I think from the standpoint of being around him every day and seeing how he interacts with everyone in the building, from his teammates to the coaches to the front office to, all the people in the organization, all the people that are doing things for us. He has a great appreciation for everyone, and I think that's the best part of his leadership. And so I think just seeing that part of him and the way he works every day, it's every day's the same. You're going to get great effort from him, great concentration, and you can't ask anything more of a player.
There's still an ongoing Emory investigation by the NBA. How closely are you paying attention to that, because it could affect certain things?
Yeah, no, I think at the appropriate time, I think, Leon will make a statement, but, you let everyone do their job. So that's the way we're approaching it. We feel very good about the way we went about things.
And he asked them, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you can't. I don't know why the Knicks don't get the reporters mic'd up so that you can hear their questions a little bit better. They had asked him about the expectations for Jalen Brunson and if he exceeded the expectations, and then they just asked him about the tampering investigation. And you heard what Tom Thibodeau said, that he's sure Leon Rose and the guys will make an announcement and speak to the public once it's resolved.
Jericho, the last 3 games, hasn't played any rotation minutes. How hard of a decision is that, with how he was playing, and do you envision that staying the case?
Yeah, no, well, yes and no. I think it's a good problem to have that type of quality depth. And, of course,
And they're asking about Jericho now and his playing time.
he and Deuce had an opportunity to play in the G League last night, so I love that aspect of it. So I see what they do every day in practice, and they still have an opportunity to get some minutes there. So you're always working on their development, and we're very confident in both of those players. As I mentioned before, you have to settle on a rotation, and then they just have to stay ready for when their opportunity comes. And that's what I love about both guys. I see how hard they work, and I'm very confident that they'll always be ready. They stay ready. And so, and in this league, things can change very quickly. And so nothing's set in stone. And you have injuries, you have foul trouble, you have a lot of things, you have illness, things that crop up. And every time they've been called upon, they've been ready to go.
Stein had mentioned that he was dealing with an Achilles thing since the summer. How closely are you guys monitoring that? Was there ever any consideration?
Yeah, I think.
And they just asked about Hartenstein and his Achilles injury and how close they are monitoring his Achilles. So now you guys know, because I know it is definitely a problem that we can't hear the reporters. I can hear it a little bit in my headphones, so I can let you know what they're asking.
Not really. And we monitored it pretty closely over the summer, and then through training camp and that sort of thing. and then you just, you look at your daily report, and you want your players to be doing their correctives, dealing with medical on a daily basis, and they've done a good job with that. And I think for most players, everyone's dealing with something. So, and that's why you want to get on top of it right from the beginning and get here early. Our medical staff has done a great job with all our players, and so I want them to continue to do that and understand how important that is. And we just hired another person that I think is going to add a lot to what we're already doing.
You've mentioned multiple times that you're not concerned about RJ because he's gotten off to slow starts in other years and has turned it around, and you anticipate the same this year. Focusing on his kind of slow starts and that happening, is there anything to that? Like, is there anything with his off-season routine that when a guy is consistently getting off to slow starts that needs to adjust or anything along
I don't know. I think you can.
So they just asked about RJ and his slow starts, and if he does anything in off season, anything in his routine that leads to a slow start.
Sometimes read too much into that. It's like I try to base it more on, over a long period of time. There's going to be ups and downs in a season, and for every player, and how do you navigate through it? And I think it's important to have a strategy for everything. If you're not shooting well, okay, what is your routine to handle that? If you're maybe not as in tune with what we're doing defensively, how do you handle that? Like, just all those things. And sometimes things are going great, and so you have your set routine that you do every day. But I think just have it sorted out in your own mind. I think that's a big part of this. And we have to remember we have a lot of young players that are learning as we go. But you want to make sure that you're learning and moving forward. And I think I love the approach that RJ has. And the same, I think I mentioned the same thing about Obi. And so I think that's a big part of this.
I'm sorry, I might have missed some, but when he was asking about Hartenstein's Achilles, you said you hired somebody?
No, we monitored it.
Got it.
Yeah. Did I say that? Okay. So no, just like when we got it, like whenever you acquire a player, you want to see what's going on, and so we were on top of that right from the beginning, and so we managed it through the summer and the fall, and we're obviously like I said, almost every player has something they're dealing with, but that's why it's important to come in early, get your treatment, do your correctives, take care of your body. Recovery is a big part of what we do, and be ready for the next day.
They just asked again about Hartenstein's Achilles and if they hired someone to work on it, and that's when he said no. They monitored it over the summer.
Tom, you talk about young players. When you have some close games coming down the stretch recently, what's the lesson? What do you tell them? What was each game moving on and put that somewhere else?
Yeah, I think that's the way. And again, same thing. You don't want to change the routine that you have. So after every game, we're going to look at the good and bad, and we're going to watch film and try to understand why we either have won or why we've lost. And sometimes you can win a game, and you have to understand the corrections you have to make to move forward. And same thing when you lose a game where you fall short, you want to understand, okay, yeah, we can do that better. Let's clean this up. And usually those are the things you tend to work on in that particular practice. And obviously, you can't work on everything every day. So you have to prioritize, okay, this is where we need to focus right now and get everyone locked into it.
Going back to last season, you guys, it's been strange because you guys had better record on the road than at home. Is there different things you can do that you're looking at as to why?
Yeah, like to me, I think that's more, you want to look at it in totality. I think at the end of the year, when you dig into your season, you ask yourself, okay, what are the things that are impacting, performance, and how can we improve it? Sometimes there's nothing you can do. Sometimes it's the way the schedule unfolds. If you could, be at a rest disadvantage. There's a lot of things. It could be early starts. It could be, a lot of things. So you want to try to control all the things you can that could help you the most. Now, there's some logistical challenges for us as well. With anytime you're, if you're in an LA, a Chicago, New York, you're dealing with different things. Brooklyn, same thing. Yeah. So it's like that's part of life. Just be ready to play. That's the big thing.
What do you think? I mean, you guys are, I think you're second in the Eastern Conference in road wins, behind only the Celtics, and at home you're the second fewest home wins in the Eastern Conference. Like, what do you make of the fact that you have played much better on the road?
Yeah, and
They're asking about the win record at home and the win record on the road, and what he makes of those records.
again, I think you look into, okay, who are the opponents? What happened in the game? And what happened at the end of the game? Did you make a shot, miss a shot? Did they come up with a loose ball? What was the difference in the game? And oftentimes that is the difference. It's, a shot gets blocked, the ball is loose, there's a scramble, they pick it up and put it in, and you go from winning the game to losing the game. So those are things that you want to learn from and understand that oftentimes the win is determined by the hustle. It's the small things that'll win the big games for you. It's getting on that loose ball, it's a tip in, it's a deflection, whatever it might be. So those are all things that.
So you think it's just a coincidence?
Well, the thing is, you want to improve too. It's like you want to get better at all those things to understand. Okay, the intensity of the fourth quarter is different than the first three quarters. The intensity of the last 5 minutes of the game is different than the start of the fourth quarter. Those are all things that factor into it. So, how do you manage it? How do you And I think the more times you go through it, the better you get at it.
When you see what Mitch did the other night, what does it make you feel about confident in there?
Yeah, I
Asking
just
about
think
Mitch.
the conditioning aspect of it is huge. I think he's growing, he's learning. I think he's gotten a lot better, and I think he'll continue to get better. He's putting a lot of extra work in. I think that's a big part of it, and that you can't lose sight of how young he is, RJ is, Obi, Jalen, Quick. We have young guys that will get better. Quentin, that's a big plus for our team.
What is your reaction to Mitch averaging more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds right now?
Well, I would say that he's got a great knack. I said this to you guys at the beginning of the year. I felt we have the best offensive rebounder in the league, and I think the defensive rebounding will come as well. And he's starting to really see things. I think it's his gift. The block shots have been really good. So I think all those things are pluses for us, and just his overall activity continues to get better and better. And I think he can anchor the defense. So get as many rebounds as you can. I think, I don't know, I think we're second or third in total rebounds. So I think that's a plus for us.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Tom Thibodeau. I think he avoided the question about playing at home or winning at home. Didn't really give any reasons on, why he thought the Knicks might not play as well at home. I do agree that there's some, there can be some logistical things that you can't control, but the Knicks got to do better winning at home, and it needs to start tomorrow or today, whenever you have it. It needs to start. They need to start it with Dallas and then finish it with Atlanta before they go on the road. All right, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is the first night of a back-to-back for the New York Knicks. They play the Dallas Mavericks at 12:30 tonight, if that's what you want to call it, or tomorrow. They play the Dallas Mavericks, and then they play the Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday at 6 p.m. All right, and then they're back home. Well, they're in that Cleveland game is home. Right, and then they play the Hawks on Wednesday, actually. So they play tonight, tomorrow, at 12:30 p.m., 12 and a half hours from now. The Mavericks, Sunday is the Cavs, and then they're off Monday, off Tuesday, and they play the Hawks on Wednesday. Then they play the Hawks on Friday. Then they play the Hornets on Friday. So we'll see what the Knicks can do, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see if the Knicks are able to muster up a win here after playing some tough games at home, losing a couple of tough games. They did what they needed to do in Detroit. Then they lost some tough games against Portland and Memphis and Milwaukee. So, if you're just joining me, the Knicks rotation players are healthy, ladies and gentlemen, for the Dallas Mavericks. Kemba Walker is a game time decision. Tyler Dorsey is a game time decision. All right, the starting lineups, and I'll get this the bench unit right here. I'll get it over to the starting lineups. Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks, Spencer Dinwiddie, Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., former Knick Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, Dwight Powell. That's the starting lineup for the Dallas Mavericks. When you look at the bench units, you have Emmanuel Quickley. For the Knicks, Derrick Rose, Cam Reddish, Obi Toppin, and Ihart. Then you have Maxi Kleber, Christian Wood, Green, Bullock, and Davis Bertans for the Dallas Mavericks, not Milwaukee Bucks. All right, these bench units, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a battle to watch. This is a battle to watch. 40 points per game for the Dallas Mavericks bench unit. They shoot 47% from the field and 35% from three. All right, we need the Knicks to, if not win it, be right there with them competitive-wise. Defensive matchups, back to that starting lineup. I got Brunson on Dinwiddie, RJ on Luka, Grimes on Hardaway, Randle on Finney-Smith, and Mitchell Robinson on Dwight Powell. And I think it goes back the other way as well. Quick team comparison. The Knicks, 115 points per game. The Mavericks, 110. You just heard Tom Thibodeau talk about the Knicks' rebounding advantages. They have a rebounding advantage versus the Dallas Mavericks. They need to keep that advantage and win it. The Knicks got to make sure they're defending that three-point line. The Mavericks, they only shoot it at 35%. It's not great, but they take 40 a game. All right, the Knicks got to be ready to defend that three-point line. The Mavericks shoot 47% from the field. The Knicks obviously do not shoot the ball well. They're shooting 45.6% from the field and basically 32% from three. And that's not good. But they still manage 115.2 points per game. Bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks, in my opinion, need to come out with that same defensive intensity that they did versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Right? They came out intense. They were focused. They were energized. They played really, really good defense. They need to do the same. If the Knicks can couple the type of defense they played versus the Bucks with the scoring that they've been able to do, although it's not always efficient, but if they can put it together, they can start to manufacture wins. Can they put it together? That's the thing. We will see, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to head out. I'm predicting that the Knicks are going to get this win versus the Dallas Mavericks. As a matter of fact, I think the Knicks are going to beat the Mavericks and beat the Cavs back to back. That's what I think. I think they're going to do it. But I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you after the game tomorrow. So I guess the post-game show will probably come on about close to 3 o'clock. So I'll see you then. I appreciate your time. Have a great a great, whatever you want to call it, midnight, morning, something. All right. Make sure you're up and ready for tomorrow's game. I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.